Hello, my name is Naveen Riscala, and I'm going to be talking about acceptable use policies. An acceptable use policy is a document stipulating constraints and practices that a user must agree to for access to a corporate network, the internet, or any other resources. Acceptable use policies are used in education and in the business world. So, why have an AUP? So AUPs are important policies that help protect students, administration, and school systems. Not only that, it also helps set the tone for what technology use is acceptable and appropriate in a given space. So upon looking at the Montgomery County Public Schools website, I found two AUPs that are used in the district. The first one is in regards to user responsibilities for computer systems, electronic information, and network security. The next AUP is about educational purposes and administration of the MCPS web. The structure for both of these AUPs were the same. They both started out with a purpose, a background, definitions, procedures, and concluded with a non-compliance portion. So I looked at both of these AUPs and I was able to extract some of the most significant policies that stood out to me. So looking at students, some of the things that I've noticed that were talked about were cyberbullying and electronic harassment, internet access, inappropriate materials, not changing system settings, and students are prohibited from using unauthorized emails, instant messages, or chat rooms. Some significant policies that stood out to me regarding teachers are regarding MCPS emails only used for educational purposes, protecting passwords and student data, system tampering, inappropriate content, secure sensitive information, and many more. The noncompliance portion of the policy stood out to me as well. There are different disciplinary actions for employees and students. So, for employees, some disciplinary actions may include a conference, warning letter of reprimand, loss of privileges, suspension without pay, demotion, dismissal, or criminal prosecution. And disciplinary actions for students may include, but not are limited to, telephone calls to parents or guardians, loss of privileges, restitution, suspension, and/or expulsion, and/or criminal prosecution. I think the non-compliance portions of these policies can be controversial for some, but I do think that the non-compliance portion of the policy is one of the most important parts. It helps students and teachers be held accountable for the way that they use the internet, and it helps keep people safe. So, AUP awareness for staff, students, and parents. So, in my personal experience, oftentimes these policies are overlooked by the parents and students because they may feel that the information is not important or relevant. But given our digital age, I think it's imperative that these groups are aware of the policies and the non-compliance portions as well. So there are many different ways that parents and students can become more familiar with these policies. One way is schools can hold an in-person session where these policies are discussed and kind of taken a deeper look at. And also videos can be made for students where someone is explaining the AUP in terms that they may understand better than looking at the policy itself. In regards to teachers, these policies are, at least in my personal experience, these policies are usually introduced when a teacher is a new hire to the county, and it's often a part of their first trainings that they take. So, teaching the policy to students. So, I think it's super important that students are aware of the policy because they're on the internet just about every day. Some things that teachers can do to make students aware are hanging posters around the classroom about the policy, and also just being sure to reference the policy as often as possible, just to show the relevance and the importance. So, one of the biggest ways to enforce this policy is to teach digital citizenship because they actually go hand in hand. So, for example, like teachers can teach students why cyberbullying can affect safety or how sharing sensitive information about others can be illegal. Um, I don't think a lot of students realize that the actions they take on the internet can have very real consequences, other than a phone call home or suspension. People can get hurt, people's lives can be changed forever. And that's why I do think that it's important for kids to know. And also, the non compliance portion of the policy can definitely be a wake up call for a lot of users. So, implementing the policy as teachers, kind of like I mentioned before, I think teachers usually get some type of introduction or training to these policies upon hire, but I do think that teachers should have an annual required training about the policy. It not only helps reinforce the policy, but it also ensures that the staff are aware of the rules and the consequences. So that can look like administration maybe holding a professional development for teachers at least once a year. And that is all. Thank you so much.